about 10 or 9 o'clock, I think, 9:30. Dylan and I hunted a little bit this morning, saw some deer. We saw a lot of deer and beans, but we were mostly just scouting this morning, and that's what we're doing right now as well. Going into this area that we hunted last year, I think opening day, Ted and I saw that big buck, and we're just going in to this spot now. It's a little bit different because there's a different crop in here. The standing corn probably had a play in where they were bedding last year. Now this is all beans, so we're thinking they're going to be deeper in here. Now we're seeing fresh tracks. There's some rubs back here, and there's also boot tracks. So what we're trying to do is get up along this field edge, just scout our way in, see if we can find something to come in and potentially set up on this afternoon. Just scouting it out. We got a west wind blowing away from where we think the bedding is, and we're just going to go scout the field edge, not exactly where we plan to set up, but close to it, and that's going to tell us if we need to push in more or not later this afternoon. Feeling pretty good. All right, let's sneak in on them. What do you think? Think you can jump that?
Ready for a long jump?
I think I might be able to do that. Like, if not, I'm going to be just shy, and then I'm going to fall into the bank, and then I'm going to get wet. What do you think?
I think all that weightlifting is not going to be really worth it down here. I'll try it.
Maybe we could do it right there. That looks a touch shorter. So we're walking in, and we're actually going into the spot that Ted and I hunted opening day last year. We scouted here earlier today, kind of working these field edges, looking for buck sign. Saw a fresh scrape going right into that bedding area. A lot of fresh rubs coming in and out of that bedding area. We're sure there's at least one big buck back in here. There's probably more than one. Maybe that buck's there from last year, and maybe he's not. We haven't really run trail cameras back in here, so we don't know if he's around or not, but now our task is to try to figure out how to get across this water. It's just a little bit, probably too far for us to jump effectively, but you never know. All right, we just got to this creek crossing, and Dylan was like, "You don't think you can make that?" And then he went for it, and his feet splashed in the water, so he's giving me crap for being worried, but I'm gonna give it a go. Easy, baby! Easy! Oh, shh! Just about stepped on my bow. What's on? One of the things that Dylan and I noticed when we were coming in here is this bean field has got yellow beans. Right on the edge has got some green beans. And out towards the middle they're brown. There's a lot of trails going into the beans. But you can see deer have been feeding on these things, all summer and even currently. If you've never hunted a bean field and you're looking to see if they're feeding it or not, in the beans it's really easy. It just kind of looks like somebody came through and just clipped the top of the bean stem right off. That's when you can tell the deer have been feeding on it. Some of the areas you can see through here really been fed heavily. The most heavily used bean fields basically have no leaves on them left. It's nothing but busted off stems. So if you're scouting and you're seeing that, there's a lot of deer using that food source. I mean, if he's bedded where we thought he could have been bedded last year, he's going to be 40 yards from us. Well, Dylan and I made it across the creek, through the bean field, and now we're in this little thicket here. Between the bean fields and the bedding, there's this little strip of CRP. There's a lot of blackberry and stuff in here, and there's some trails running this way and this way. There's deer going to those beans and these beans. And Ted and I last year on October 1st set up in the tree that's about 50 yards from us. And that buck that we were in here after came out and walked right through here, going out into what was corn last year. There's lots of buck sign in here. Over there earlier today we saw a fresh scrape that had been opened up this morning. It's been raining, so we know it's fresh. There's fresh rubs coming out in that bean field on public as well. The cool thing is about this little spot here is we can actually see a lot more than we even could in that tree stand setup that we had last year. We're up on a little bit of a hill here. We're looking down this little lane here where I think the deer are probably going to be either crossing or coming towards us going out to the main food sources. We've had a cold front, 44 degrees I think on the way here. Got a west-northwest wind blowing it right out into the bean field where we expect the least amount of deer to come from. Feel pretty confident about it. I mean, this is the spot that Ted and I felt like we should have been in last year, and we'd have probably got a shot at that buck. And when we're trying to find ground setups, what we're looking for always is a solid wall that we can hide behind. I was just telling Dylan, one of the things that I like to do is I'll stand in a setup. Like here, I can stand up against this tree. I got back cover. I don't think any deer is going to see me even if they pop out at 25, 30 yards. But as soon as I see deer movement, I can start to slowly crouch down and get my body below that line of cover that we've got here. So sometimes being in a spot like this can make the big difference of being in the game or not. I mean, last year we were in that tree, we were close, but he wanted to go that way. If he wants to go that way today, I think we got a lot better shot. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's good. I'd like to look down there and one just be browsing in the blackberry down there. That'd make me pretty happy. He's bedded or standing up in there. Exactly what I just said. Zoom into the blackberry down there on the right. Oh, he's a good one. Straight down, there's a buck standing in that blackberry, just like I was just joking about. Here, give me that camera. I don't know if you were rolling, or is my wireless on? So I think you were doing a pan, and I said, I'd love to look down in that blackberry and see one browsing. And I literally, 5 seconds later, glassed, and there's a buck standing there. I don't think, if he bedded right back down, I think we can get there. It's a matter of getting a shot over that stuff. I think he's just moving in his bed. It's like, that's one of those things that you dream about. I was literally dreaming about it, and then he stands up right there. I'd say we picked the right spot. Because, see, if we would have tried to get in that tree, we'd be too dang close to him. We'd probably blown him out. I think we're going to decide to not crawl that buck. We're not really sure exactly what he even was. If we were in a different state, I'd be crawling him for sure. We got a season here. It's only the first day that we've hunted. And I think it'll be just fun to see how this little setup strategy pans out, as much as I'd like to go running up there. It's unfortunate that we didn't get any dang footage of him. I promise there's a buck in there, folks. So that buck popped out right down here in a little patch of pin oaks. There's 2 bucks, a small one and a bigger one that we saw bedded down in that corner. I know I got a little bit of footage of him there in that scrape. But he was just down in there tearing that thing up. Little buck went from right to left across this patch of open. Last I saw the bigger one, he was just running around like super amped up. There he is right there. You can hear him cough. He's somewhere right in there. I'd imagine he'll go across to some point too. Different one yet. Do you see him coming right at us? That's at least that's either a 3rd or a 4th buck. There's another one behind him. Oh yeah, you might be right. I might shoot old Palmation down there. You want him? What happened? What even happened? Oh, we almost got one. Well, I don't know what the heck happened because our wind's perfect. Some went wrong though. Well, that's exciting. First night out. Same spot as last year, first night out. And that buck, that bigger buck, he was in there just thrashing trees. I filmed a very little bit of it and he was running around like a giddy fawn does, you know, like he stepped out. I was like, well, he's bigger than I thought. And there's another 8-pointer, I think, in front of him. And that 8-pointer was looking up here, real intent. And then they bounded off and they went that way. I don't really know. I mean, I don't know what happened. They were acting like they saw something over here, but I don't know that they didn't just see that other deer and just weird themselves out. I mean, that first buck was already at about 37 yards. Like, I was getting ready to shoot that bigger one right there. Like, if they just went through, I'd have probably shot him at 30. You know, we're finding ways to set up inside pockets of cover that hold bedded deer. There's probably 500 different buck beds in this little spot. I mean, this little patch is not very big, but every year there's bucks that bed in here. I feel like we get a lot of questions. People talking about, I found a buck bed. Now how do I set up? I mean, in this situation, if we were trying to specify one buck bed, we'd never be able to pick a setup based off one bed. But instead, we're thinking about all the factors that play into this specific spot. You know, in here, we think that this is a path of least resistance, but still is keeping them to cover. And that's why we set up in here. There's bedding all around this little open right in front of us. But we can shoot 30 yards in here, so we're set up in here. Maybe we crept to within 70 yards of where those bucks are all bedded. Didn't get them today, though. I think that might be it, really. Darn it. Right there, he's about 35. So those little bucks came through, they started sparring. We could hear just commotion over here, so we moved up about probably like 30 yards, but we're closer to where I think that main trail is, and I feel better about exactly where we're at. I just don't feel great about the fact that I think most of the bucks are past us, but nonetheless, I mean, it's fun. I think we're getting closer back here. It's just like, kind of did what we typically do on an out-of-state trip, and that's one of the things that we've been battling with. It's like, yeah, there's so many places we could go hunt. We've been here for, I mean, I've lived in Iowa for, this is my 5th season, so like, so many options. It's like, I should go here, I should go there. So we decided to just scout a spot, see where the fresh sign was, and go into where we thought. And so we did today more like an out-of-state trip versus just going off past experiences. And really fun night, just didn't pull it off. So be back after them tomorrow. We got 2 more good cold days at least, so we'll be hunting.